Hi, I'm Tim Bartz, Internet Sales Manager here at McArthur Ford in Salina, Kansas, your source for Ford news, update, and information, including your Maverick Monday information. So we didn't get one done last week. So this week, of course, it was Labor Day. This week, we're going to get a video in here. We're going to talk a little bit about your ordering of your vehicle and what happens here from here on out. So for those of you that have a 2025 model year Ford Maverick, order placed, and maybe you have a late 24 that's in production or something. We're going to go through what's the process, what happens now that you have your order placed, what are the steps that happens after that until the vehicle comes in and you actually take delivery of it. So we're going to go through the process here for you. And some of you that followed me, this may not be new information for you, but you might get something out of it. So let's go ahead and dive in and talk about this. And so when you place your order, once that order is submitted, first of all, as you were placing this, I want to make sure that your order is placed. I've talked to a couple people that thought their order was placed. They waited, and then they find out the dealer didn't actually submit the order, but only put it into the WebDo system or the ordering system, and they saved the order. They actually didn't hit that submit button to submit the order. And some dealers, sometimes will build up, a Maverick. If a salesperson is working with the customer, they'll go ahead and print that order sheet so the customer they can go out there and talk to the customer about that pricing. Is this actually everything you wanted? And then at that point, because they have other orders or other people they need help, they'll save that order and wait for that salesperson to come back and say, yeah, go ahead and submit that order. And so sometimes that's what happens in that situation. So you want to make sure, because if you see that order sheet and you fill it out, you'll notice on that order sheet, it says preview order. So you want to make sure that, you'll have to sign that and everything, but you want to make sure they actually submitted the order. And the only way to really know for sure if they submitted it, one is you can call Ford customer support and you can have them look up that order number and see if that order's in there. Right. And hopefully the status says unscheduled clean. Right. That means it can be scheduled for production. It's a clean order. It's not a job to order. That kind of thing. So that's the first thing you want to do is make sure you do that. Another way that you can know for sure that order is submitted is ask them for a DORA. That is a dealer order receipt acknowledgement form. So that there will actually on that, it's a little hard to read those, but you'll have the order number somewhere in there, the dealer number. You also see it'll say order submitted or a receipt date. And that receipt date will show the date that they actually ordered the vehicle. That is another way. If you make any changes as well, you might want to make sure you get one of those as well. Because if you make any changes to your order, the same thing, they'll have to resubmit those changes. And then the DORA, it'll actually, do a new DORA with those changes to the order with the new pricing in case any prices went up with the pricing. So when you make those changes, the prices they are when you make those changes are what you're going to have. Now, not necessarily the base price, but any package prices or optional equipment you change. If you change completely from one configuration to different, body code, that will be a new price for when you order the vehicle, when you made those changes. So that's something else to keep in mind. Know what you're going to want to order and get that order in there, and don't change your mind. So that's another easy way to make sure you're going to be price protected, which is something else we'll talk about later in the video. So at that point, your order is now submitted and Ford can look at it and get it scheduled. The next thing that's going to happen is you have to wait for when they start scheduling orders. Now, they usually will schedule orders every week on Thursdays. But depending on it. So, you want to watch our live stream or at least the Wednesday scheduling video so you can kind of know whether or not they're scheduling the Maverick that week or not. Are they scheduled 24 model year or have they moved to 25? Now, I think this week coming up, we're going to start seeing scheduling for 25 model year for those November build dates, starting November 11th, that is. So this next month will be a very short, it's a 2 to 3 week scheduling. So there's not going to be a lot of dealer allocations. I think we're getting like 23, which is about half as many as I think we'll normally get. And that's just because it's only about half the month of production. So this first week, it is going to be a small number. So depending on your dealership, how many orders they have and how many allocations they get, your order may not be selected for scheduling that first month. This month coming up, which is in September. It may be October before you get scheduled for those December build dates. And that's just kind of depends on what your configuration is and everything. And again, the biggest thing is how many allocations your dealer have. Like, for instance, we have 23 allocations. We have more than 23 orders in the system. So not everybody's orders are going to get selected for us this month. There are going to be some orders that won't get selected until next month. Well, luckily, some of those our job too is like a Lobo or something. So that could help us out to hopefully get most everybody scheduled. But there are going to be at some dealers where you need to find out, well, how many allocations do you have for this month's scheduling? And then how many orders do you guys have? It's a good thing. Some dealers may say, you know what, that's none of your business, and they may not tell you that, and that's up to them and what they want to do. Hopefully, your dealer's like, your salesperson's like, well, let me go find out. Go talk to the manager, and find out. If you're at a dealership where the salesperson's like, no, we don't get that information out. Can I talk? And you maybe ask for the manager at that point. Can I talk to the sales manager? This should not be a big deal. A lot of dealers do this. I like to kind of know where I'm at. If it's going to be a month, is it going to be 2 months? I mean, you have 30 orders in there, and you're only getting 10 allocations. And of course, this month is going to be again a split. It's going to be probably about half a month, a number for that dealership. So the next month could be even more. But it's always good to say, hey, I'd like to know that information before I place this order, or I just want to know how long it's going to be. Do I need to place an order with another dealership that maybe has less orders and more allocations, that kind of thing. So I think it's a basic thing for them to be able to fulfill, and most managers can get that information. Salespeople don't have access to it, but managers should have access to it. Whether or not the dealership wants to, or the sales manager wants to, that is really up to them as a dealership of what they want to do. But there you go. So now that order is placed, and now we want to try to get that scheduled. Hopefully you do get selected for scheduling. At that point, you're just waiting for it to be selected. And then once it is scheduled for a production date, it'll be in the future months. So they're scheduling this month, with this month of September, for this watching this video. Whenever you're watching it, we're recording this in September. They're going to schedule in September for build dates in November. We're 2 months out are those dates. So they're going to be scheduling 2 months out typically for those. So keep that in mind. You're going to get scheduled first to the week. It'll say maybe the week of November 11th. Hey, great. You're going to be one of the first ones, produced. Maybe it's the week of November 18th, something like that. Then it's going to be for that week. As it gets closer to the date, usually about a month out or so, maybe even sooner, or maybe even later, quick, or like 2 or 3 weeks out, it'll get a day. It'll get selected to the day. And then about 10 days out or so, about the week before it's supposed to be built, it'll get concreted in that day, and it'll get that order be sent to plant, and you're going to see hopefully an email that says, I'm in production. You should also get an email when you get scheduled, by the way. If they have their email address right. So once you see that in production, that doesn't mean it's actually being produced. That means they're getting ready to produce your vehicle, and it's probably going to get built the next week. So when you get that email that says yours is in production, that kind of thing, then that's cool, but it's not going to get built until that production date. So just so you know, that in production status can last a little while. And then at that point, you're going to get hopefully get built. And sometimes it really only takes 1 day for a vehicle to be built. It doesn't take multiple days. Now, if you have accessories, you have a bed cover, you have spray and bed liner, you have some of those things, it gets moved over to a mod shop. Sometimes they'll call that body shop. So if your dealer says, well, it says it's at the body shop, that don't freak out. That does not mean there's damage to it. That means that is what it means when it's in their mod shop. That's their body shop, does spray and liners, does that kind of stuff. That's what that means. It's not that it's damaged. So then at that point, once that is done, then you'll get that built. Now, a lot of times you might get an email that says, you've been built. It'll be shipped out soon. Then it could sit on that lot because it needs to be inspected. It needs to be looked at. And then it needs to be put on a actual train or transit to get delivered to you and get shipped to the U.S. because these are made down in Mexico, and then get closer to your dealership and then get pulled off of a rail. So I always like to say, once it actually gets put on a rail, figure about 4 weeks for it to show up at your dealership. Now it could take 1-2 days. It could take a week for it to get put on that rail. So once it gets built, don't figure 4 weeks from the time I get that email that says it's been built. That not necessarily will always happen. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So it'll go on a shipping car. It'll get transported to the nearest depot. For us, it's Kansas City. I don't know where some of the others are located. St. Louis has one, and some other places. So once it gets to that location, it gets pulled off the rail car. And a lot of times it might sit there for about a week at that depot, because usually it only takes about a week to go from Hermosillo to Kansas City. But then sometimes it's a week before it gets put on a cargo or a car hauler to get delivered to your dealership. So that's the process. Once it gets delivered to the dealership, a lot of times you'll get an email that says you're in final preparations, that usually means the vehicle is at the dealership. The dealership at that point needs to inspect the vehicle. They'll do a pre-delivery inspection. They'll make sure the oil is right. They'll make sure put everything on. It'll be wrapped and everything. If you don't want them to take off the plastic on the seats, you'll need to make sure you let that dealership know ahead of time so they can be prepared for that. Because otherwise, usually, once they inspect it, sometimes the driver or the tech usually will leave the plastic on it. They'll take some of the other stuff off, put the antenna on or little on the shark fin, that kind of stuff. They'll make sure everything's in it. If you have a dealer installed option, they'll need to install that option as well at the time. If you have a front license plate, they'll need to install that. So they'll do all those things. Once that's inspected, typically at our dealership, at that point, before they clean it, then they go and give the keys to the salesperson, said this vehicle is here and it is available. Sometimes, like for us, we have an inventory coordinator that she knows the vehicles have showed up. She'll let the salesperson know ahead of time, hey, it's here, it's back, it still needs to be PDI'd. And that's up to the salesperson to call that dealership. I know I have some guys here at the dealership that call their customer right away. Hey, it's here. It's getting a pre-delivery inspection, that kind of thing. And some vehicles, some of them will wait until it's actually been done, because sometimes they're like, I'm coming down tonight, right? You're all excited. So sometimes they'll wait until that's actually inspection's been done before they tell the customer. So it just depends on the salesperson. It shouldn't usually take too long for that. I forgot also, when it shows up and it comes off of the rail, if it happens overnight, then the dealer will inspect it and walk around it and make sure there's no dents or dings or anything like that. If there is, and that's happened usually on transport, then either way, the dealership will put it in their body shop. They'll get it fixed back to perfect before they deliver the vehicle. And so sometimes they'll do that as well if there has any damage. Sometimes there's some damage on the rail. Sometimes it's transport on the convoy, that kind of thing. So it really just depends. But sometimes that does happen on a very small number. That will happen, and it'll be fixed correctly. It won't even show on the vehicle. Like if you go to trade it in, it will not show that there was any damage because it's all taken care of at the dealership before delivery and everything like that. So at that point, customer or the salesperson will contact you, and at that point, that's when you start doing the financing and everything. Now, hopefully, your dealership remembered to do price protection. They honored the price it was when you ordered the vehicle. That needs to happen. Ford is going to honor to the dealer, so they need to honor the customer as well, that price protection, what it was when it was ordered. So that's something you want to do. Also, any incentives. So have them pull the smart Vincent, as they call it, any incentives. So that you can look at the incentives, that protect date incentives. That's what it was when you ordered the vehicle. Or you can look at the sale date, what it is today, the day you're taking delivery of your vehicle. What are the incentives? If they get lucky and maybe Ford threw out some 0% or some low interest rate, then you can take advantage of that on that kind of stuff at the delivery of your vehicle. So that's something else you get. Also, any private offers you've been sent from Ford, if you had that private offer when you ordered the vehicle, then that gets locked in as well. Let's say that when that private offer comes in, maybe the month the vehicle comes in, you get that offer, or maybe it's a private offer, right? Then that can be used at that time. Now, if that private offer comes in between that time, let's say you get a private offer and it takes more than 3 months for it to get scheduled and produced and it expires, it's only either when you ordered it or when you take delivery of it that offer is good. And that's just the way that works. So hopefully, because of timing, that won't happen for you. You'll either get that private offer before, or maybe you get a private offer later. So, and those private offers will go to Ford, will just dictate, customers. Maybe you buy often, maybe you don't buy very often. You're a conquest customer. Sometimes you'll get a private offer. So, not everybody will get a nice customer private offer like that. So then you work that car deal out with your salesperson, hopefully the same price as it was when you ordered the vehicle, of course, and then you do your final paperwork and take delivery of the vehicle. So that's kind of the process and how it works. So if you have any questions, drop them down below. I can answer those questions for you in the comments. Hopefully you learned something from it. Maybe you've gone through this process and say, oh, my dealership did it this way or that way. Drop that down there as well so people can see what their experience was. And hopefully you guys did enjoy this video for this week. I think we're going to get into some other stuff next week for the Maverick. But hopefully you guys are enjoying these Maverick Monday videos. And also drop down below if you have a topic that you want me to cover and I haven't covered yet. Throw that down there, and I'd love to cover that for you as well in these Maverick Monday videos. So until next week, don't forget, if you do get an order, make sure you come over, either watch the Wednesday live or Wednesday video of the scheduling information that we go over. It should be timestamped for the Maverick information if you want that, or better yet, come on over to the live stream. I cover that. Actually, what you see on Wednesday is a recording from the live stream. Come over, watch the live stream. We usually go over scheduling pretty early, about halfway into the live stream. And then we also take questions. If you have any questions about scheduling or why is that a constraint and this and that, I answer those live right there. So you can answer those. I do scheduling and then answer the questions about scheduling right after that. And so I can answer questions right away if you have any of those on the live stream. So that really helps out. Try to respond to them on the Wednesday video, but don't always get to it. So if you want to do that, come on over to the live stream, 7 p.m. Central every Tuesday night. So thank you for watching this video. Hope you're having a great Maverick Monday yourself. And until the next video, stay positive, be kind to one another, be kind to yourself. We'll see you in the next video.